Rudd v. Gillard. Who's going to call it out now?
I know where this is going.
What do you think? Where do you think it's going?
Gillard is a fighter for women's rights, and if you disagree, you're a sexist. And all your other points are valid because you're a sexist.
That would be my point.
No, even dumber. She did the misogyny speech.
Yeah.
Can we make it stupider? What's a dumber defense of Julia Gillard?
She has a fat ass.
Her
That is
boyfriend was so rude to her once, and she still made it to the prime minister. Do you know how difficult it is when they sometimes
No, but
tell
look,
you off?
you can see the difference in the prime ministers.
I mean, look,
Recently, spending so much time on Twitter, Kevin Rudd was talking about preventing nuclear war between China and the US and the path forward to that. He did this very concise geopolitical summary of the current state of the globe and how to avoid catastrophe. That was his tweet. All these important people from across the world, UN representatives, whatnot, saying, very insightful, Mr. Rudd. I really enjoyed your paper on this. And you have Malcolm Turnbull in there, and his response is, I'm really enjoying your new beard, Kevin. It looks very handsome.
Malcolm Turnbull
Is he also like an estrogen guy?
fucking... I don't know. Do you think he is?
What?
Turnbull?
Yeah.
What do you think?
He's an estrogen man, isn't he?
No.
Testosterone. Oh, who knows?
Could be a builder. I think he's a builder.
Can I just say something? Like you can continue, I promise, but I feel like I want to say this. If you have like an adverse opinion of China, if you're and that's okay, that's your opinion. What I would recommend you to do is like is actually Kevin Rudd has done like a series of lectures throughout the world where he talks about that particular issue of like how to avoid war. You should check it out. I'm just going to give Kevin Rudd a plug.
So
they're really good, and he's very insightful about this. Maybe like you'll learn something that you haven't. Sorry, go on, yeah.
Yeah, but look, you look at the books that Kevin Rudd recommends. They're all heavy, hard-hitting global politics books, hard economics. It's all heady, intelligent stuff. You look at what Julia Gillard recommends. Why it's hard for women to get up in the workplace. How do women own the next century? It's all that crap that you see BuzzFeed journalists read. She's just like, there is a massive reason why you...
I'm not on this train.
Oh, come on, as if you're not on that train.
backing out.
I am, but I'm afraid.
Okay, all right, so you're on this train, but it is the last train to Busan.
Yeah, and I'm like literally at the edge. Like,
Poos on.
Moose.
yeah. So what you're saying, Julia Gillard isn't a dumb person, though. I'll give her that much.
There is...
I don't think she's particularly smart.
Comparing to Kevin
I think
Rudd,
she's
Kevin
just
Rudd
your
is just
stock
like
standard lawyer, and I don't regard lawyers as particularly intelligent. I think that Kevin Rudd was a once-in-a-generation leader, and we squandered him.
No, he's very intelligent.
He was.
Rudd.
It's
But,
just not
not
fair
everyone
because of
has
the
to be
time that he
incredibly
was given, right? But he was, just like how we had Gough, and he was kind of the bastion of the Labour movement for that epoch, and then you have Keating coming on after him. Rudd was ours. He just wasn't given the opportunity to flourish due to the economic circumstances surrounding him and also just the in-party politics.
Can I...
But
I've got a comment that is a very good one for you to argue because I think it's like, yeah, that's a good one. Someone, Bronson PM has said, Jordan, you can counter this. Gillard was a superior PM to Rudd. Rudd is overpraised for Australia's stability during the GFC. Most of the stimulus was unnecessary. We were so underexposed because of low debt going into the crisis.
Wait, can you read the last bit? Sorry again.
What part?
Low debt.
Most low debt. Okay. Rudd is overpraised. He said most of the stimulus was unnecessary. We were
Based
so
off what?
Sorry, can you just continue? Sorry.
we were so underexposed because of low debt going into the crisis.
Gotcha.
yeah, this is Australian talking points. This is how they're trying to sully the legacy of Kevin Rudd. If you are pointing that thing out of just like, oh, it was unnecessary how much he gave in. Well, what's your excuse for COVID then? Because that's like 5 times the stimulus price anyway. But look, if you're arguing that the stimulus was unnecessary, what they're always saying is we should have had a stimulus like New Zealand's. Go look at New Zealand's economy after the GFC and look at Australia's economy after the GFC. We were the only country in the world, definitely developed, that reported growth after the global financial crisis. Every other economy in recession. So why are you saying that it was unnecessary?
Because he doesn't know what he's talking about. Give me one.
There's another one.
Okay, tell me one reputable economist that says that Kevin Rudd's stimulus was unnecessary, and I'll give you a million who say that was probably the best decision anywhere in the world. The best decision to counter the GFC.
Yeah.
In fact,
Nobel Prize winning economists
that the
versus
recession,
the Australian.
Yeah, so good that like post-COVID, every country in the world did it because they knew Kevin Rudd's example.
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating this.
Yeah.
People mention him all the time all over the world because of his straight $1,000 stimulus. So much so that someone like Trump did the same thing when this happened.
And Donald Trump even was praising Kevin Rudd's stimulus back in the day. This was across the board. We're talking everyone from Donald Trump to the U.S. Reserve Bank, whatever that one was called. I can't remember. Federal Reserve.
yeah.
We're talking like the IMF. We're talking Nobel Prize winning economists, lefty economists like Joseph Stiglitz. You go look at the list of distinguished economists across the globe that are praising Kevin Rudd's stimulus package.
It may have been controversial then, what Jordan is saying right now, but it's definitely not controversial now. No one disagrees with
Ryan.
that. The other thing about like low debt is that, look, it's true that Australia had relatively low debt, and the other thing was that we had this constant demand from China, which helped, but that's not something that goes against Kevin Rudd.
No, that doesn't go against Kevin Rudd. That was just
situation that you were in.
circumstances, just like the GFC was circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
But and on top of that, there's a lot of other countries that are resource rich that went into recession.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just China. It was because we had a really solid, really fast stimulus package that worked instantly.
You won't like this comment, but Ryan CL45, Gillard gave us NDIS, Gonski, carbon tax, mining tax, and yes, she was a fantastic representation of a female leader.
That's kind of true, actually. Like those are good things.
No.
Why?
No, they're not. Because the NDIS was started by Kevin Rudd. It was his leadership summit or whatever it was called. When he first came into office, he got 1,000 of the brightest minds to Canberra together, and obviously the Murdoch press ran this huge campaign of, I can't believe that he's spending $40 million to have this 2-day meeting. But out of that came the National Organ Bank, where we have increased the number of people getting vital organ transplants double. It's doubled since then because you're able to say like, oh, okay, this person needs it in the Northern Territory, and it's all linked up. That was because of Kevin Rudd's summit. The other big thing that came out of it, NDIS. There was also just a bunch of other vast improvements in policy that never even get any mentions, but the NDIS was there, and he was the one that was implementing it. It's just that, yeah, Gillard passed it, but it takes a while for these things to be written up in policy. It doesn't just happen like, oh, okay, here's the proposal, passed. It takes a while to formulate these things. If you're going to give anyone credit for the NDIS, it should be Bill Shorten. Bill Shorten was the real mastermind behind it because he was the Minister for Disability Services, and he did a stellar job of putting that together. But Kevin Rudd was the one that got that summit together and said, that's a good idea, Bill, you handle that. That was under him. What were the other ones?
But nonetheless, it's a very good program.
The other points?
Yeah, it's great.
The other points?
And, credit to Gillard for passing it, but she didn't formulate that.
The points were...
The carbon tax? Carbon tax was the stupidest move in modern political history.
Why do you say that?
Because look, as Kevin Rudd was pointing out, it's such a good point. She did it because the Greens said, we're not going to join a coalition government with you if you don't pass the carbon tax. Forgetting... what the fuck are the Greens going to do otherwise? What, they're going to form coalition with the Liberals? No, you tell them to fuck off and you put them in their place. They're the junior members.
If Julia Gillard was a musician, she'd be Lars Ulrich. Shout out.
Was that Michael again?
No, that was hand jobs for Ewoks. Hell yeah, dude. Great name. Great name. But what about the only other points that there was the mining tax and Gonski.
Mining tax, passed under Rudd. I will give credit actually to Wayne Swan for that, but he bitched it in the end. But Wayne Swan came up, he said that he did this massive tax review and it was just obvious that there needed to be a tax on mining. Kevin Rudd was saying, why are you doing this to me in my first term? This is going to sink us. But credit to him, he passed it. While he was waging war with the Murdoch press, while he was waging war with the banks. That's going to sink a Labor government, and it did.
And it did.
And it was definitely the mining tax that did sink it. But when it came to Julia Gillard with the mining tax, that was really watered down from what Kevin Rudd was proposing. Why? Because they were trying to save government. Now, I would have done exactly the same thing if I was in Julia Gillard's position, but Kevin Rudd was willing to take that to the people. He was fighting for it, and he was winning the war.
Because it's important.
It was important.
As unpopular as it may be, both carbon tax and mining tax are extremely important for Australia.
And when it comes to the emissions trading scheme, if we pass the emissions trading scheme, which anybody that ever says that the Greens are the party of the environment, 3 letters, ETS, they voted against it. That is the worst decision in modern Australian political history.
What was their rationale? Was it just like, it doesn't matter if you're able to trade it, it's the act itself that's
They were
bad?
saying that it's too weak. Well, I've got news for you. It's better than nothing.